All right, last part of the review, we're going to go over G and H. Okay, for G, the basis of the whole lesson is trying to get you guys to understand when I multiply a mixed number or a whole number, say 2 and 1/10, this is number 1 on G, okay, times 3/5. Okay, then there's what they're trying to get you to understand is when I multiply a mixed number or a whole number by a fraction that's less than 1, okay, is 3/5 less than 1? Yes. 5/5, that might be too high. 5/5 would be 1. So anything less than that, 4/5, 3/5, 2/5, it's gonna make my number smaller, not bigger. Okay? Now, if I multiply by a fraction that's greater, then now I'm making my number bigger. Okay, it could be a improper or it could be a mix. If you multiply a mix by a mix, it's getting bigger. But when I multiply by a fraction, it's getting smaller. So all these comparison problems where they have the greater than or less than, they're going to have the same number on both sides. And you're multiplying one of the sides by a fraction. Now that fraction is either going to make your number bigger or smaller. In this case, it's less than 1, so it's going to make my number smaller. So this is going to be bigger. Okay? The original number is bigger than this multiplied by 3/5. This is going to make this answer smaller. Okay? And if you wanted to do the work, you could. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 1 is 21. Remember, we turn it in proper before we do anything. Right? 21 over 10 times 3/5. Okay? Solve it out and see your answer and see how you're going to get a smaller answer than 2 and 1/10 when you finish, okay? I don't want to go too long because our video might cut out. I want to get to H. So that's this one. Now, every now and then, you need to know greater than, less than, or equal to. All you're doing is comparing your fraction. Again, you see the 3 and 3/4 and the 3/4? It's on both sides. So the only difference is one side's multiplied by 5/5, the other is not. Well, in this case, 5/5 is equivalent to multiplying it by 1. Okay? So this is when you're going to have an equal situation. When it's multiplied by 5/5, okay, or 1, a fraction that is the numerator and the denominator is the same, then that means that it's going to be equal. Both sides would be 3/4. Okay? Because again, this is like multiplying 3/4 by 1. So that's one where it's equal to. Let's show one where it's greater than. 8. No, that's not going to work. Oh, 3. This is number 3. 7.5. 7.5 times 1 and 1/6. Okay? 7.5 times 1 and 1/6. Then they have this, and they're going to put one of these mixed numbers on this side. 7.5. So 7.5 is on both sides. And all you're trying to say is, when I multiply 7.5 by 1 and 1/6, is it going to make my number bigger or smaller? Well, in this case, since this fraction is greater than 1, and now when I say fraction, I mean this mixed number, right? Because this whole number and this fraction are together. It makes it a mixed number. Since this is greater than 1, that means that this side is going to be bigger. Okay? And again, I'll go back to this. The alligator mouth is always going to be open to the biggest side. Okay? Does it matter if I switch the number? Sometimes I'll try to trick you and do this. 7.5 on this side, have the box here, and then write this over here. 7.5 times 1 and 1/6. You're still going to do the same thing. Identify that, oh, this number's on both sides. So all I have to do is look at this and tell me, is this fraction or mixed number greater than 1? Well, of course, it's 1 and 1/6. So again, this side is bigger. Okay? So that's another trick they do where they just switch it around. But you follow the same strategy. Identify that you have the same number on both sides. See what you're multiplying by. If it's a mixed number, it's going to get bigger. If it's a fraction that's greater than 1, so if it was, let's say, this written as an improper would be what? 1 times 6 is 6, plus 1 is 7. If it was 7/6, you're going to get bigger as well, because that's the same thing as 1 and 1/6. So if the numerator is bigger than the denominator, your number is getting bigger. If it's smaller, your number is getting smaller. If it's equivalent, I erased it. If it's the same, right, 5/5, 6/6, anything that's the same, the numerator and the denominator is the same, and you're multiplying it, that means it's going to be equal, okay? That's all of G for you, okay?